What's up, guys? This is Blank Boy, and you suck at Vultology. This is the only show on the internet where you get to hone your Vultological prowess. Each episode, we take a look at a lineup of some public figures. Last week, we asked you guys to look at just two. This coming week, we're also going to be doing just two. And we ask you guys to type them using nothing but Vultology. Feel free to post your answers in the comment section below. These are just soft typings, so we're just looking for one of 16 possible answers. We're looking for 2 function axes and 1 leading energetic. Let's go ahead and check out how well you guys did last week. So last week, we asked you to type Coleman Hughes and David Wayne. Out of a possible 8 points, on average, you guys got 6.6, or about 82.5%. Everyone got Coleman Hughes right. Not a single person messed up on Coleman Hughes. I'm pretty happy about that. And no one got David Wayne right. You guys were in between 2 possibilities for David Wayne. Neither one of those were correct. But because we only had 2 figures and everyone had almost the same answers, yeah, your scores range between 6 and 7 out of a possible 8. I was hoping that with just 2, maybe someone would get full points, 8 out of 8. You didn't, so maybe next week. Let's get on to the prizes. So the prize for least suck is split 3 ways between Endless Curtis, Wolf, and Carol. All 3 of you guys got 7 out of 8. The prize for least suck is the power to detect shopping carts that veer off to one side without having to touch the cart. Nice. I don't know how you'll split that between the 3 of you. Then the prize for most suck goes to 2 people. Both Mark and Mr. Ralteria got 6 out of 8. Their prize is a watering can filled to the brim with Brondo, the Thirst Mutilator. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the gifts. All right, here we are at the gifts. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're dealing with this week. First up, we've got Coleman Hughes. Big credit to Snooze Tea for providing this gift set. So here, right off the bat, we're seeing a little bit of locking right there in the middle of this GIF, right there. We also have a projecting hand, right? This lock comes out in this boom right there, projecting hand. There is a little bit of toggling right there after the disengagement. Here is disengage and little toggle there. There's a small head push right here at the end. And I just want to note how this is all happening within rigidity, right? There's a lot of rigidity involved here. I mean, just this lock itself, yes, and boom, hit of the projecting hand. Right, the shoulders are staying right here. There's a little wiggle, maybe you could say right there, but they're basically staying right where they are already. All right. So, yeah, even though everyone got Coleman Hughes correct, I'm still going to go through these for maybe any viewers who are watching this later, who maybe did not. But he is a really good example of just a pretty standard, pretty easy JI lead beta. That is what everyone thought he was. That is what he is. So here we've got disengaging eyes, all right, and some projecting hands. And he disengages, he re-engages. The fact that he's re-engaging itself is not actually a Vultological signal, but what are some signals is that we can also see, well, here he's also rigid, right? His shoulders are not not really going anywhere. They go a little bit forward as he projects this hand, but not really moving laterally at all. All right, all right. So far feeling very rigid, very J-led. Here we can start to see the qualia of his JE energetic, right? So we've got some emphasis coming out, and right, we're calling this coordinated emphasis. Both as the hand hits, the head comes forward. And not that we were listening to this with the GIF itself, but if we did go back and listen to this video, we would certainly hear that his speech, and you can actually sort of see it in what he's saying. I guess you can't really hear it, so maybe not really, but if we did listen to this video, we would hear that this is also hitting with what he's saying. So coming forward here, and again, right, with the head, right? As he's hitting, his head is going, facing forward, relative to his torso. I know his audience is over here. But I'm still calling this projecting. I'm still calling this going forward, even though he's not actually doing it toward the person he's talking to. That's okay. That's okay. I'm still going to call this a projecting hand. And it is a meticulous hand, actually, right? So there's some JI present here. Right? This is a meticulous hand, though it is projecting forward, right? There's a bit of JE and JI going on here. We're also getting some eye head parallel motions. Right here, here, and back, right? So 3 times 1, 2, 3, right? Eye head parallel motion. That's looking like an SENI signal. And again, we do just have overwhelming rigidity with Coleman. Here, he gets a little bit halted right there at the beginning here, and then again here. And we have these warm projecting hands, right? There's, what do I mean by warm? There's variable velocity here, okay? And another, right? They sort of swell, they come and hit, right? There's that variable velocity. It feels warm, I wrote here that it's projecting hands with exertion. I just mean, it's certainly not as forward as, say, this was, right here. He's really coming forward. The hands are really leaving the torso area. Whereas over here, right, his elbows are very bent. By that, I just mean that, well, his hands are actually still pretty close to the torso. And so this sort of looks like, JE that is not exactly, dominant, that is not really controlling the show. There is still, and with all this halting, predominantly JI here. We can also see the quality of a brow raise right there. And this, especially that second one, there we go, certainly feels warm. Certainly feels warm to me. So far, looking FETI, looking SENI. Here, we're getting a very classic TI signal with these puppeteer hands. I guess here, let me show both these GIFs at once. This second one might be just a little bit better of a case for the classic puppeteer hands. You could say that this kind of looks like a bear claw. The fingers are not actually moving independently of each other as they are down here. This looks more like classic puppeteer hands. Up here, if you wanted to call this a bear claw, okay, sure, I guess you can. But overall, I'm certainly seeing at least clustering around the FETI signals, not the TE-FI signals. Let me just scroll a little further so we can see the caption for this one. Here, we also do see him getting halted right there at the beginning, and right there again. Halt, halt, and there we go with the puppeteer hands. And the eyes do disengage in the middle here, right before, I guess, the puppeteer hands really end up getting going. All right, so a lot of JI. We are seeing a lot of JI here. Let's just take a look at the quality of his toggles. So here, he is toggling. Where is he toggling? Really just over here. Really just off to the side. There's this one point that he keeps toggling to. Now, of course, I can't say with any certainty whether or not there's something really interesting over here that he keeps wanting to look at. But as far as what we can deduce from this, well, we would have to just say, okay, well, it looks like lateral pointed toggling. There's a small head push in here right there, right? Really, really, really mild head push. There it is, and back. And throughout this whole thing, okay, he does have rigid posture. All right, let's keep going. Here, we've got just a lot of rigidity. I mean, yeah, as I said before, we do just get overwhelming rigidity with Coleman. Here, right, everything is so exacting. Hit, 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 hit. I guess in the middle there, you could say maybe there's a little, maybe this feels a little fluid, and it is lateral, relative to the torso. But hit and hit, right? All these places where the hands finally land, right? Those are just these clear, decisive hits at these exact points, right? They come and they stop. We're also getting, we can track his chin. We're getting these linear head motions. He's facing here, now here, there, here, right? It's really just this vector. This is the vector that his chin is moving along. Of course, he's moving in three-dimensional space. My cursor can't quite, my cursor does not exist in 3D space. But right, hopefully you guys can see that this is the vector that his chin moves on and nothing else, right? Feeling very warm, very FETI here. Here, we can just get a nicer view of his toggling, right? So this is something very lateral, very, very pointed. And we're also getting some eye head parallel motion. Not every single, eye motion is met, but there's no lag when the head does move with the head, or sorry, when the head does move with the eyes. So right here and right here, right? So here we're seeing it just to the left, but this is certainly something you can see. I'm still calling this eye head parallel motion, even though it's just to one direction. As he toggles over here, it's not as though the head is slowly following the eyes, right? So that would be contradictory. But this is just eye head parallel motion that happens for whatever reason to be going just toward one side. All right, looking very SENI, looking very SENI. We've got one more GIF here. Here, let's just look at the quality of his smile. Yes, overall, I am certainly saying that he is on the FETI axis, but I just want you guys to be aware that this is possible. Look, right here, you can actually see right next to the nose in the middle of this GIF. So pay attention. There, this vertical movement right there in the middle. Right, so the smile comes, and then at the peak of this expression, right, we do get this upward and heavier creasing next to the nose, and right, so what do we say? What do we say? Okay, well, this is signal mixing. Okay, he shows some TEFI signals, some FETI signals. I would not say this. I would say that this is of course, I'm not in his mind, but I would imagine this is just a genuine emotional expression. So, right, as you get very into a laugh, of course, right, it's not like this is like the biggest laugh you've ever seen, but right, I would guess he genuinely thinks something is funny, and here, right, well, he's just emoting so much. He's just, you know, captured by this emotion, and it is even moving his smile upward at the end here. I'm not saying that he is FITE, and you know, as you look across his videos, you'll note that you don't really see anything in the way of FITE signals. You don't see lip wobbling. You don't see that kind of avalanching speech or whatever. You don't see any of them. But I just want you to keep in mind that this is certainly possible with you know, this more what would you call it? Just higher amplitude emotional expression, right? Like even me, I can laugh. I can get really into a laugh and you know, start creasing my nose like this. But you know, just because we see this with some I guess I'll say more extreme emotional expression, does not Coleman FITE make. All right, so cool, everyone did great. Coleman, easy peasy. All right, here, let's move on to David Wayne, who everyone got wrong. And let's see why everyone got David Wayne wrong. To be sure, he is hard. He is significantly more difficult than Coleman Hughes. Of course, I would need a rigorous report to say this definitively, but his perception axis is really interesting. I wonder if he is polarized. I wonder if he's a polarized P. I'm not going to say anything definitively, but I just want to put that out there. That is in the realm of possibility for him. He does show both a lot of PI signals and a lot of PE signals. Everyone did correctly identify him as a delta, as using both the FITE axis and the NESI axis. I thought that was great. I do think you know, he is rather apparent delta. But as far as his leading energetic, let's try to see where you guys went wrong. About half of you thought he was a PE lead. About another half of you thought he was a JI lead. So this first one, yeah, some of these he is holding a microphone, which obviously for a real assessment, that's certainly not ideal. But you know, here I am going to be using just a handful of GIFs where he is holding a microphone with one hand. That being said, his other hand is certainly free to move around. And here in this first GIF, we do see it moving around a bit. So first, we've got some eye toggling and some little head shakes in here, with a little bit of a sway here. So as we watch the shoulders, you know, they move a little bit, not a lot, not a lot. And there is some gesturing, you know, inward toward himself and then forward, right? In sort of a casual way. Though this is a forward gesture, it feels very casual. So all right, so far he's feeling pretty P-lead. He's feeling pretty P-lead, and there is a good amount of toggling here, right? Maybe feeling revisor, right, with all this toggling. Up here, over there, back, 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 back. All right, let's keep going. Here, we're getting some more spinal fluidity, and I just want to note about his fluidity in general. It's never really that much. You know, there is fluidity, but it is more contained. It's contained in a smaller zone, a smaller area. But there is fluidity here, right there. You know, mostly at the beginning of this GIF, I think. Yeah, right there. We see a lot of toggling here, just a lot of toggling. And it's very brushstroke, very all over the place. This is very NESI toggling. This is unmistakable. And I think everyone identified that correctly. So that was great. We do see some lateral gesturing, right? Feels very casual. You know, it does go into a lock right here. at the very end of this GIF. So sure, there is some JI in there, but this is feeling very PE. Feeling very PE with all the toggles, all the lateral gesturing, the bit of swaying here. Feeling very PE. Here, we're getting more fluid lateral gesturing, all this stuff. Well, I guess this one feels rigid. It comes to a hit. And we've got some swaying here. I guess I wrote fluid lateral gesturing. Maybe I should have said rigid lateral gesturing. Now that I'm looking at this again, he really is coming to a hit and coming to a hit at that last one. I know the GIF cuts off right there, but the hand does come to a hit right there. We're getting a cold brow raise, or actually a sequence of them. So there's actually 3 brow raises here. And notice how they just kind of come and go, come and go, come and go. These I would call cold brow raises or snippy brow raises. They're just kind of so this is feeling TEFI. And we're also seeing, you know, a little bit more toggling, but I guess we already visited that in the previous GIF. Now, as we get longer interviews with David Wayne, as we get longer into an interaction that he has with someone, he is in front of a studio audience here, and I want to point out that he is in part a performer. He has acted in TV shows and movies and web series. This is certainly someone who can, turn on the performance. But what I want to show you guys is how, as we get nearer to the ends of interviews, he cannot help but to lose some PE and have it get replaced with PI. Here, we've got a little bit of toggling. Yes, there's this very meticulous hand and some halting. So some JI is certainly getting in here. And after this toggling, the eyes end up getting into this diagonal drift. This is near the end of the interview. Let's look at some others that are near the end of the interview. Here we've got some lateral fluid gesturing, right? Going to the side, feeling very PE, feeling very PE. But this is all with this fixed gaze, right? Yes, the eyes come out of this at the end, but here we have this fixed gaze. And then, right, the hand does become meticulous right here, though it stays a little bit fluid. It doesn't just lock or hit. And we can also see this in the shoulders, by the way. Here, his shoulders. Where is it? I think it's near the beginning. Yeah, right there. All right. Here, this is a GIF from a very lengthy interview. I think it was 90 minutes to 2 hours. I should probably have that number offhand, but I don't. Here, we're seeing in these longer interviews, where does his energy end up defaulting to after getting interacted with for quite some time? It ends up defaulting back to PI. Here, we've got this long, sustaining diagonal drift. Under this monotone articulation, not that we can hear it, but there is a bit of TEFI articulation here. But these are very common for David. After going for a while, after putting on the performance and being able to be more entertaining, more on, if you will, more activated. Here, We see some fluidity, right? So this is just a good shot of, about as fluid as we see him in terms of the spine. I understand why some people thought he was a JI lead. It's not like we get, these big swaying motions from him. He is, rather still. We do see him, not leaving a pretty narrow zone, but there is fluidity here, right? And this is something that is really emblematic of PI leads. Here, we're getting another GIF that's nearer to the end of an interview. We've got this long diagonal drift here. The eyes do toggle right there into another diagonal drift. I know the GIF cuts off here after he's up here, but he does get into this diagonal drift up here. Kind of cool with David Wayne. We also get these, upward diagonal drifts, not just downward ones that are more common. And there is some lip wobbling here. Actually, probably throughout all of these. I mean, his lips wobble a ton. We could probably identify lip wobbling in all or almost all of these GIFs. Let's see. Oh, here there's a good one. I don't know if you guys can catch that. Maybe I should have slowed down some of these. But here, I'll just revisit this one. Here, we are definitely getting a good amount of lip wobbling down here. We get some pulling there at the very end. I saw some pulling up here. So down, up at the very end. And there it is, going up here. He does have a lot of lip wobbling. Here, we get this cold shrug. This shrug almost feels to me like he's shrugging to himself more than he's shrugging to the audience. And we also see just some fluidity, right? His shoulders start over here in this GIF, and at the end they're over here. We do see this diagonal drift of the eyes hanging out over here at the beginning. He does re-engage his audience, but at the beginning of this GIF, he's staring off over here. And here we are seeing, though he's got some toggling, though there's plenty of brushstroke toggling in here. He, as a whole, really does not sustain that PE energy. He uses plenty of it, especially near the beginning of these very public interviews. But especially at the ends of interviews, after he's been going for quite some time, he really reverts back into this very PI state, just feeling extremely resolving in his energy and not activating. So David Wayne is definitely a tricky one, definitely a tricky PI lead. Could very well be PE lead, perhaps. I'll leave the door open for that. If anyone thinks that I did make a mistake in this week's episode, please do feel free to share that in the comments below. But this is something that I want you guys to watch out for, especially with actors or people who are regularly facing the public. Well, how does their Vultology change from maybe the first 10 minutes or so of an interview or an interaction to 60 minutes later or 120 minutes later? And with David Wayne, we certainly see the amount of sustaining PI signals he has at the end of an interview is really much higher than anything else, and that PE signaling does have a pretty steep drop off. For next week, we are going to be taking a look at Dr. K and Chinua Achebe. Dr. Alok Kanojia, better known as simply Dr. K, is a private psychiatrist, having trained at Harvard Medical School. He's done research at Harvard and at Tufts, and is a member of the Council of Ayurveda Research. He co-founded Healthy Gamer, a mental health platform for gamers. Chinua Achebe was a Nigerian writer. You may have read his 1958 book, Things Fall Apart, which is the most widely studied, translated, and read African novel. He explores the themes of colonialism, masculinity, and femininity in his writing, which employs a literary style that borrows from the Igbo oral tradition. You are encouraged to find as many videos of these people as you can. Some of them may have videos where they're just sort of giving a prepared speech or shtick to the camera, and you might not want to use that. You're encouraged to watch the video at a slower speed to really help pinpoint little micro expressions. Leave your answers in the comment section below. Good luck, and I'll see you next week.